So on this episode, we have Colby Hastings, our first guest ever from Tesla. She's the Senior Director of Residential Energy. And she covered so many fascinating topics.
Yeah.
Tesla's doing amazing work. When you think of Tesla, you think of EVs. But they are, knocking the doors off the clean energy space with their residential line of business and their grid scale battery business. And so I think, folks should listen in and hear from the source about what's happening in the space.
And it all is so interconnected to like the, connecting your EV, connecting your home battery, connecting your solar. They have that all under one brand, and the software works together and the hardware works together. And so she talks a little bit about the sort of whole home energy ecosystem. And I found it fascinating. I was on the edge of my seat. This was one of my favorite episodes because it really is. It is not just the future. It's happening all over. And so we got to talk about virtual power plants. We got to talk about utility scale storage. And this was a really cool episode about what sort of where the energy industry as a whole is moving.
Don't miss it. How many times have you been to RE+?
I don't know, 4 or 5. I can't remember. Many times.
What's your take on this year's show?
I think it's been great. I think there's an incredible amount of energy and momentum. I know there's a lot of uncertainty in the industry right now. So people are still kind of trying to figure out what the next year is going to look like. But I'm hearing a lot of hopeful messages, a lot of creative thinking. It's been a good time to kind of bring the community together and start to build some ideas around how we move forward and what the next year is going to look like.
Yeah.
Let's get into some of the meat with Tesla's products. And
yeah. Well, I wanted to reflect a little bit on virtual power plants, and I know that this summer, especially in California, there've been a couple of moments where the utility is testing out using those virtual power plants. So to start with, I would love to know, just sort of in layman's terms, what is a virtual power plant?
Sure. I mean, a virtual power plant it's a real power plant. So we don't always like the term virtual power plant because it's very much a real asset. It just happens to be distributed. It just happens to be in more than one place. So with a regular power plant or a regular sort of centralized storage asset, you have a large asset in one location and you control it from there. With a virtual power plant or a distributed power plant, you have lots of little assets that are all over the place on the grid. But you can access them all and dispatch them in a coordinated way so that from a utility perspective, from a system perspective, it looks and acts like one power plant, even though it's in a lot of different locations.
Yeah. And are there benefits to that distributed nature of the resources?
Yeah. I mean, one benefit is that you can have these resources offer services to the utility, but also offer services to the homeowner. So in our case with Powerwall, primarily this asset is used to help people save money on their bills, to provide resiliency when the power goes out, but then we can also provide services to the utility. So you can have multiple different value streams stacking in a way that you just don't necessarily always have with the centralized asset. Because of the nature of these assets too, and the way that they can be located on the grid, they can be used to provide distribution level services and avoid certain distribution level costs in a way that centralized assets can't always do.
Awesome. That's really cool. And so I know there were several tests, and then, in California this year, can you talk us through what happened there and how the sort of genesis of how that came about?
Yeah, sure. So we just recently had a big test event in California. We have almost 500 megawatts that was dispatched during that event on the Powerwall side. 700 megawatts of enrolled capacity, about 500 megawatts dispatched in this event. And the speed at which you can deploy these programs, I think, is pretty incredible. So most of these assets were enrolled in a program called DSGS, and it's only been about 2 years that we've been enrolling assets into that program. So that's a 500 megawatt asset that's been effectively stood up in 2 years. It's faster than you can build a gas plant of that scale. And so I think this is real proof that this can be done. We're not just in pilot phase anymore. These assets can provide very significant capacity and resource to the grid. California's program is kind of an emergency capacity program. It's there for when the grid needs it. And that's pretty typical of a lot of the programs that we see. We also have a program that's been getting a lot of attention this summer in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico faces significant challenges with their grid and has for many, many years. This summer, They're facing significant generation shortfalls. And so we have about a 50 megawatt VPP that is getting dispatched many times over the course of the summer there. And actually 4 or 5 times has been the marginal resource on the grid. So it has been the difference between the grid blacking out and not. It is literally keeping the lights on for the community of Puerto Rico. And that's been really exciting to see because, again, these assets are not pilot scale anymore. They are real. They are providing critical services. And they're able to do that in multiple markets now around the country.
So awesome. That's so cool. So the future is now.
The future is now. The future is now. There's still plenty of barriers to growing our VPP programs. I think a lot of folks, when they think VPPs, think demand response. The market frameworks don't always account for the fact that these assets are batteries. They can export back to the grid, and so there's a lot of work that we still need to do on market design to make sure that we can actually have these resources access this value and be compensated for sort of the full capability of what these services can do. Really excited about the scale that we're building in these programs, but in many senses, this type of dispatch is only the simplest thing we can do with these virtual power plants. And there's a lot more complicated services and things that we can do. And so looking forward to the future and continuing to build out scale, but also build out sophistication of the way that these programs are run.
I'd love to break down, when people think of Tesla, they think of cars, right? EVs, and may not associate the brand with renewable energy. Can you break down what you're talking about here to the RE Plus crowd? What are the products that are essential for this market, for this community?
Yeah, and I would say, energy has been part of the Tesla DNA since a very, very early date. I joined the company over 10 years ago in 2015 when we first launched the Powerwall 1 and PowerPack 1 products. We had generations of the products that were sort of more prototype before that, but this has been part of the story of Tesla since the very early days of Tesla. I mean, 2015, all we had was the Model S. We didn't have X. We didn't have Model 3. And we were already thinking about, okay, we have this core capability as a battery company, as a power electronics company, and what are the other ways in which we can use that set of engineering skills? And stationary batteries was part of the vision from an early day. So the core kind of storage products of the energy business are really Powerwall for the home and small commercial industrial uses as well. And then Megapack for larger commercial industrial loads and utility scale generation. I mean, Megapack is really being deployed now at gigawatt hour scale, which is very exciting. Within energy, we also have the supercharger business. And so that's kind of within the energy umbrella as well. How do we get energy into our cars and into our vehicle owners at a really attractive price point, and so they can travel freely? And then it's not just batteries too. So in my business, in the residential business, we're also a solar company, and we actually have a direct solar installation arm in the U.S. still. We do work with most of our network through our certified installers for bringing power to market, but here we do have that direct solar business as well, and we manufacture products in the solar space. We've been making solar roof for many years, and we're actually debuting at the show here at our booth. We're launching right now a new solar module that is completely in-house, engineered, designed, made by Tesla in our factory in Buffalo, New York.
Cool.
And we're doing all of the mounting hardware that goes along with that. So it's definitely not just one thing at Tesla. It's not just the car, but it's also not just the Powerwall or the Megapack. There's a whole ecosystem of products that goes into it.
I love that. And I asked you a little bit earlier about this, but a lot of people don't know that if you have an EV, you can charge it at home. If you have solar panels on your roof, you can store that energy and transfer it between your home and your car, right? What do you call that system?
I generally refer to this as the home energy ecosystem. And this would be your solar, your storage, your vehicle, everything working together in a coordinated way to optimize for your needs, to help you save money, to help you, run your home as sustainably as you would like. And then all of that can really be controlled and set to your preferences in the Tesla app. I think that's the benefit of having one manufacturer that's making all of these different hardware technologies, but we're also doing all of the software and controls that goes into this as well, and building the tools for consumers to see, visualize, understand, and control those assets and that experience through their apps.
Super cool.
That's neat. I because this is an announcement that you guys just made here this week, I do want to talk a little bit about the Megapack. What's new? What does this announcement look like? How does this sort of change the future for Tesla?
Yeah, absolutely. So for those who are able to tune into our live stream on Monday night, we just unveiled Megapack 3. This is the next generation of our Megapack technology. And basically, we're pre-configuring blocks of 4 Megapacks along with the medium voltage transformer and switchgear, and doing all of that kind of pre-configured and tested at the factory. So 20 megawatt hour building blocks ready to go, very quick to install. And this is really going to ease speed of installation and really optimize for space on the site. We're talking about the project is the product, and really how do we kind of optimize for rapid deployment of gigawatt hour scale assets. I mean, so much of what everyone has been talking about at this conference is capacity crisis and AI load growth and speed to power, and how are we going to do this, and how are we going to make this transition happen, and ideally do it sustainably. And these types of solutions like Megapack 3 is how we're trying to do it.
Yeah, that's so cool. I'm also curious as sort of other applications. I mean, obviously it's like mostly grid scale, but when you have a product that is as integrated, like with the transformer, and is easily deployable, is what you're talking about. Are you looking at other applications for that, or is it mostly going to be grid batteries, or like I'm thinking about schools or community centers, or local governments or things like that?
Yeah, we do use Megapack in sort of large commercial industrial applications as well. And then we are also developing a 3-phase version of Powerwall for something on the smaller end, like maybe a small school. Stacking multiple Powerwalls is also a solution for that type of an environment as well.
No, that's really cool to hear. So what else is Tesla doing at RE Plus this year? What do you have coming down the pipeline? What are you excited for personally?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Megapack 3, which is super exciting. We're really scaling the manufacturing behind that program. We've got 2 factories online now in Lathrop and Shanghai, and we're underway with a new one in Houston. So by the end of 2027, we should have over 100 gigawatt hours of manufacturing capacity in Megapack, which is really exciting. On the industrial side, I continue to be really excited about the AutoBidder platform and program, which I think doesn't maybe get as much attention or talk about these days, but we've been doing that since 2017, when we did our first large utility scale project with Hornsdale, and we designed this whole system for forecasting and optimization and market participation of batteries, which are incredibly flexible and dynamic assets. So it makes it a pretty challenging problem to run these things optimally in a market and maximize revenue. And so we're continuing to invest in that platform. We're the market leader in Australia and Texas and the UK and a lot of the places that we operate, but continuing to invest and expand to new markets. So that's the industrial side. Powerwall, I mentioned 3-phase version of the product that we're working on for next year.
That's really cool. That's really cool too.
I'm learning so much just in this conversation.
Yeah.
This is mostly Seth's interview.
I was so excited to have a conversation about this.
I did not get up from nothing today. I'm walking away from this discussion having learned so much from you. So I'm so happy that you joined us today.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me.